What's up, my Archfiends of Chaos? More Elden Rings lore. We're going to talk about more of the legendary Elden Rings lore video. I haven't done these lore videos in a long time for Elden Ring, but I'm bringing some of them back that I haven't done. This is on my second playthrough, so as you see in the gameplay, this is my second playthrough. I never actually done a lore video on Goddrick because I didn't want to spoil the game, because when the game came out, you know, I didn't want to spoil it, so I kind of held back. But now, since I know everything I need to know about the lore, I've been reading some item descriptions on the Lord of All that is Golden, or Goddrick the Grafted, or Goddrick the Insecure. You know, the incel man-child great-grandson of Godwyn. Either great-grandson or son. We don't know, but he's definitely related to Godwyn. We know that. As to item descriptions. You know. Now, we do see some stuff in his castle. He's actually responsible for all the grafted science. And if the most twisted thing about Goddrick is he kidnapped kids and grafted limbs on them. It's the same thing with all the birds, that with their talons being cut off and replaced with swords and knives, showing how grim and disturbed Goddrick is. Which makes sense for someone who's as much as insecure as he is, because Goddrick is an insecure lord. As you see, he wants to be just like his forefathers. That's why he has the giant axe, to be like his greatest ancestor, you know, Godfrey. But he was always known as an inferior lord. Even there's some dialogue with Nefeli Lu, you know, to help you fight Goddrick, because some people don't recognize Goddrick as a lord, which, you know, makes sense. I mean, this dude's very insecure. If you talk to this NPC, I forget his name, I can't remember the NPC, but he says that Goddrick is nothing but a country bumpkin. He's done some very shameful things, like he actually begged Melania for his life and kissed her boots. And he dressed up like a woman in Caelid to hide from General Radahn. Now, I get General Radahn is scary, but for someone claiming to be a lord, and especially in the Elden Ring, you know, in the Elden Ring universe, where your ancestry depends on, you know, all the battles you have fought. Yeah, I can see that kind of being shameful. I don't care how scary Radahn is. I mean, in these times, you better be fighting in battle. You know, I think it's more disgraceful to run away, and that's exactly why he's not recognized as a lord by other people. And that's why Goddrick the Grafted is it is an insecure lore. And when you go to his castle, you do see a bunch of arms and stuff. It's not shown in the gameplay right now, but hanging up, because he kills tarnishes and then use their limbs to graft his own body, which is really fun because it's not really his body. He took like some of the trolls and other tarnish, and even in the mid-fight of phase 2, he took a dragon's head and turned to his arm, proving that he can't even use his own power. Goddrick is so weak. Explains why he's the first guy you fight, but you know, he's actually so weak that he has to use powerful tarnish to actually get any power at all. So yeah, that's exactly with the item descriptions, of course. You know, and then there's also his obsession with dragons. His obsession with dragons comes from Godwyn, because Godwyn befriended the dragon. Godwyn has befriended Fortisax, the Lich Dragon, which I still theorize that Fia is the human form of Fortisax. Because when Fia dies, you know, you could lay on her lap and you go straight to a different world and you fight Fortisax. Meaning Fortisax was actually Fia the whole time, and why she was able to drain your life force to give to other tarnish. Which explains why Goddrick's obsessed with dragons, because again, we don't know. It's speculation, but I think Goddrick is either the son or grandson of Godwyn. But he is definitely related to Godwyn, as it is. Because he calls the dragons his kin. Which is very peculiar that he would call them kin. That means he'd have to be related to a dragon. So, maybe his mixed blood from Godwyn's and Fia, which Fia in her true form being Florisex. I'm not going to go into that. So, that's probably turned him into what he is. But he was the run of the litter. Godwyn had more kids, and Goddrick is the weakest of it. He's actually the little brother that got bullied a whole lot. The uncool little brother that got bullied a whole lot, as you could tell. And his insecurity has caused him to go and do all this stuff in the first place, because that's just what happens when you get too insecure about anything. You'll go to every lengths to prove your worth. That's why in the cutscene he says, "Forefathers and you one and all bear witness." And I ain't talking about the meme, but yes, that's what that means. He wants his ancestors to see him just like they are. So that's why he takes the dragon's head and grafts it to his arm. But all in all, he was always an insecure lord. And when you do beat him, he just looks so pathetic when you beat him. But yeah, pretty much that's just, kind of him in a nutshell. I don't have no really items to describe, but from the boss fights to everything. Now, even though he was an insecure lord, he was still meant to be taken seriously, because, well, the grim experiments he did for grafted signs and his bird talons to create the perfect grafted body to make himself just as strong as every other god out there, caused him to go to pretty much do heinous experiments using tarnish and all to graft the perfect body so he could be a strong lord and return back to Leyndale. As it says in his death dialogue, that he wanted to return to Leyndale and live the glory like the rest of his people, because this guy was like the weakest of his people. This guy was like, pretty much. He's pretty much like with Raditz in the Sands. He's pretty much the Raditz of the gods, pretty much. He was the one that everyone made fun of. No one took him seriously. And that's what caused him to do grafting in the first place. To take powerful tarnish, even you, take your arms and graft it on his body. And no matter what happened, he still had someone's foot on him on the ground. So it didn't really do him no good to graft his body at all. He could just at least live some kind of royal life without doing it, but too much insecurity and caring about what others think will turn you into this. And that's exactly the whole lore with Goddrick the Grafted or Goddrick the Golden, which he took from his grandfather or father. We don't know yet. But may the crystal be with you. Like and subscribe to this channel. I'm going to also try to bring some more Elden Ring content up, as well as my Final Fantasy content and what else.